Welcome to Homebrew Wednesday. Homebrew Wednesday for the first week of June 2012. Here with a little homebrew. It's my IPA. I talked about it in last week's Homebrew Wednesday, which actually I filmed a little while ago. This is the same beer. And I still like it. I'm going to talk about a couple of things this week. One is a comment that I got on my homebrew video for my all grain. I'm not going to bring my cooling system in here, but basically it's a gardening bucket that I bought to be a plant a container garden. And what I did was I floated my bucket in it, just put enough water in until it floated, then reduced the water by a little bit, and then paddle drilled some holes in it so that as it fills, it doesn't fill so far that the bucket floats inside it. And then I put my hose in there, and then I packed that with ice. I'm going to get a regular wort chiller, but I don't have that as of yet. And the comment, which was brilliantly simple and made all kinds of sense that just didn't dawn on me before, is kind of scary, is that if I only had a limited amount of ice, which at the time I did, I only had like 3 bags of ice, that I should save those until I got the wort down to about 90 degrees, because 90 degrees to pitching temperature is the hardest drop to make, whereas from boiling to 90 degrees is pretty easy to do just with tap water, because tap water, you know, obviously significantly colder than that temperature. Now, my upside is that my well is about 60 feet down through sandstone into Lake Superior, and I get pretty cold tap water even in the middle of summer. But it was brilliant. Thank you very much. I'll flash it across there on the video as the tag of the gentleman who actually made that suggestion. In the future, I hope to have more ice as well. I just hadn't had the time to build ice in my other freezer for that brew day. It was just one step that I had not gotten to. That made all kinds of sense. That it's so much easier to cool that first section than it is that last bit. That last bit is the bit that's always forever and ever. It seems like it's not going down anymore, and it's not going down anymore, and that's when having extra ice would be beneficial, and that is definitely the way we'll be doing it next time. And so thank you very much for that suggestion. You gotta love what this community does for this community. That's the best part about all of this. 17crew.com. Yeah, go there if you haven't been there. If you're watching these videos and you're trying to explore this, or you're already into this and you're just trying to be a member of this community, that's the place that we're hanging out. That's the place where you find out where everybody's casting on JTV. That's where you'll find Craig Tube and Maniac and Lord Cyclone 2011 and Jake and Dar. And I got to stop here because I won't remember everybody, and then I'll feel bad that I didn't mention it. So, but go there, check it out. They're all listed there. So the only other thing that I really wanted to talk to you about on this video was my fermentation is coming along nicely. I really only can do one fermenter at a time in this system, but so far I've been very happy with the temperature I went to. I went to 16.5 Celsius is the temperature I'm fermenting at. What I'd like to throw out there to the Homebrew Wednesday folks and all the folks checking out the videos is if I was lagering, I'm not, but if I was lagering and I was fermenting at a lower temperature, and obviously, you know, around 61, 62 degrees is a lower temperature for fermenting. Before you actually went to the lagering stage, you would have a diacetyl rest. You would bring it back up to mid-high 60s, 70 degrees, maybe not 70, but 67, 68, and leave it there for 24 to 48 hours to allow the diacetyls to settle out before you lagered it. Now, since this is not going to be lagered, this ale in here, which, like I said, by this actual date, may still be in there, but it'll be pretty well done fermenting at that point. it's not going to get lagered. It's going to get bottled. I don't see any reason to bring it up for a rest before I bottle it, because I will still bottle condition around 70 to 71 degrees. That's the cupboard that I bottle condition in is pretty stable, and that's about the temperature that it conditions at. But I invite comments about that particular aspect. Since I'm fermenting with a Nottingham yeast that runs down to 57 degrees Fahrenheit, but I'm, like I said, running around 62 to ferment. That's significantly chillier than I had been fermenting. Should I do anything different before I bottle it because of that? The other thing I was going to touch on in this Homebrew Wednesday was secondary fermentation. And basically the conclusion I've come to, and I once again invite all comments, thoughts, opinions, because mine can be swayed, but I've watched a lot of your guys' videos and read a lot of information that's got me to where I'm at, so I think I have a grasp on it. As near as I can tell, secondary conditioning is really important if you have a really big beer that's going to be in a carboy or in a fermenter for a significant amount of time. By significant, I mean longer than 3 or 4 weeks. And because of that, you're going to have enough yeast that falls out of suspension and dies down the bottom of your trub that you might get off flavors from it. Or if you're going to add something in secondary, be it flavorings, orange peels, fruit, dry hopping. You know, if you're going to put some hops in your secondary fermentation, then obviously you're gonna change it into another container. But the consensus that I've seen is that if you're not going to do one of those things, secondary, all that it really does is give you an opportunity to gain an infection or oxidation. Both of things that by that point you really don't want to add any oxygen to the beer that you don't have to. And obviously anytime you expose it to the air, you have a chance of catching an infection. I haven't had an infected batch yet, but I've only had 4 plus this one. So, but that's kind of the rule of thumb I'm going to use. If I don't have a long time to sit, or I don't have something else to add, I'm not going to bother with that. One of the other reasons that you go to secondary fermentation is it gives you a much clearer product. It gives a chance for more stuff to settle out, and you'll get a much better looking bottle of homebrew. But I'm not sending mine off to be judged. It's conceivable that down the road I will send one off to Canada, to Craig, to be reviewed if I get to one that I'm happy with. Or maybe to Jake, and I can be his 200th review, you know. But at this point, that's aesthetics, and that's the color of the beer, the clarity of the beer. Not nearly as important to me as this one here. Yep, I like the way it tastes, and that's pretty much that's the yardstick I'm using. Although this one does, ooh, look at that, a little too early for that. This one is getting nice lacing. Head retention is a little light, but I don't remember exactly how I washed this glass last. If you need to figure out about washing your glasses, CraigTube has a really good video on what to do, what not to do, and not just the video, then everybody else's comments are with that video. That's the nice thing about the community, is you go there and you watch this video and you pick up what you pick up there, but then you read all the comments and you get everybody else's input as well. And that's why this community that we belong to, just by being here, is so great. And for that, I say cheers, 17. Happy Homebrew Wednesday.